Have you ever paused, just for a moment, and noticed a pattern? A repetition? Perhaps a subtle feeling that something deeper is woven into the fabric of your everyday life. It's as if the universe isn't just out there. It's here, reaching out to you, speaking in a language that most overlook. Not through fleeting moments, but through something timeless and profound: numbers. Numbers are far more than marks on a page. They resonate, they echo. They carry a quiet energy, as though waiting patiently for you to notice their presence. Across centuries and cultures, numbers have held deep meaning, transcending their mathematical roles to become symbols of transformation and clarity. Ancient teachings, from the philosophies of Buddhism to the mysteries of numerology, describe numbers as the universe's silent language, harmonizing with the essence of who we are. If we take the time to listen, they reveal messages that can transform our lives. Today, we will journey into the mystique of 5 powerful numbers. These are not mere figures, they are energetic portals, inviting you to realign with your true purpose. For those born under Pisces, intuitive, sensitive, and deeply connected to the rhythms of the cosmos, these vibrations might resonate even more profoundly, as though the universe is whispering directly to your soul. But this isn't a story confined to astrology or mysticism. These numbers carry practical power. They illuminate pathways to synchronicity, helping you navigate life's complexities with grace and intention. Imagine finding meaning in the chaos around you, stepping into a flow where opportunities and purpose align effortlessly. These numbers aren't coincidences, they're invitations from the universe itself. Pause for a moment. Reflect. What if the numbers that appear in your life, the ones that catch your attention unexpectedly, aren't random? What if they are guideposts, urging you to live with clarity, intention, and purpose? As you prepare to uncover their secrets, remind yourself of this truth. You are ready to see the signs. You are ready to embrace their meaning. Because today, we're not just exploring numbers, we're stepping into a narrative that connects you to something greater. This is your moment to listen, to uncover, and to align with the energy that has been waiting for you. Let's begin. Numbers are more than mere symbols. They are the whispers of the universe, carrying vibrations that transcend their practical use. Throughout history, they've been celebrated as keys to understanding the unseen. From ancient Buddhist philosophies to modern mysticism, numbers have served as bridges between the physical and the spiritual, tools for unlocking wisdom, transformation, and profound connection. Have you ever felt their subtle pull? Perhaps it was the number 22 on a coffee shop ticket, followed by 44 lighting up on your phone's battery display. Later that evening, you notice 77 flashing across your screen, catching your eye just before you drift off to sleep. These moments don't feel random, they feel deliberate, as if the universe is quietly nudging you to pay attention. For Pisces, a sign naturally attuned to the mystical, these patterns may resonate even more deeply. But the beauty of these numbers is that their energy speaks universally, transcending zodiac signs to reach anyone open to noticing. Whether you're seeking clarity in relationships, direction in your career, or a deeper understanding of yourself, these numbers carry guidance meant specifically for you. Each number vibrates with its own unique energy. The presence of 55 might gently push you to embrace bold, transformative changes, while the harmonious frequency of 66 could remind you to cultivate balance and serenity. These numbers, when they appear in moments of doubt or reflection, act as quiet affirmations. They whisper reassurances that you are exactly where you are meant to be, inviting you to pause, reflect, and trust the unfolding of your journey. These signs are not fleeting, they are tools for transformation. By recognizing and embracing their meanings, you can realign your energy, open unexpected doors, and step more fully into your potential. Viewing numbers not as random occurrences but as energetic bridges to the universe shifts your perspective entirely. Life becomes richer, more intentional, and brimming with possibility. This isn't about luck or chance, it's about alignment. Today we'll dive deeper into the profound significance of 5 extraordinary numbers. Each one holds the potential to help you create a life filled with balance, fulfillment, and joy. These numbers are not just signs, they are invitations to step into the life you've always envisioned. The universe is always speaking. Right now, take this moment to declare, I am open to transformation, ready to embrace the guidance meant for me. This is just the beginning of a powerful journey. Together, let's uncover the secrets these numbers hold and illuminate the path forward.
Number 29, collaboration and harmony. The number 29 radiates an energy of connection, balance, and growth through meaningful relationships. It combines the nurturing qualities of 2, symbolizing partnership, empathy, and harmony with the wisdom and humanitarian vision of 9. Together, these energies create a powerful call to foster collaboration and align our efforts with a sense of shared purpose and collective well-being. In a world often driven by individual success, 29 serves as a reminder that true achievement is rarely a solo endeavor. It encourages us to evaluate the connections in our lives, ensuring they are balanced, supportive, and aligned with our larger aspirations. This number teaches that the path to fulfillment often lies in working together and building relationships that inspire mutual growth. In numerology, 29 emphasizes the beauty of unity and shared purpose. The energy of 2 fosters harmony and cooperation, while 9 inspires higher wisdom, compassion, and the desire to uplift others. Together, they form a synergy that transcends personal ambition, focusing instead on creating relationships that nurture and elevate everyone involved. In Feng Shui, 29 embodies the principle of interconnected energy, highlighting the importance of harmony within relationships and shared spaces. It reminds us that creating balance in our physical environments mirrors the balance we strive for in our connections. Whether at home, in the workplace, or among friends, fostering spaces where everyone feels valued promotes collective success. From a Buddhist perspective, 29 reflects the principle of interbeing, the idea that all things are interconnected and that our actions ripple through the world around us. It encourages approaching relationships with mindfulness, compassion, and respect, recognizing that our well-being is intrinsically tied to the well-being of others. Astrologically, the energy of 29 resonates deeply with Pisces, a sign known for its emotional depth and empathy. Pisces thrives on meaningful connections, and 29 encourages them to channel their understanding and compassion into relationships that are purposeful and balanced. It also serves as a grounding force, urging Pisces to balance their emotional openness with practical actions that lead to harmony and tangible growth. The energy of 29 can be embraced in everyday life by adopting these practices. Reflect on your relationships. Take time to evaluate your connections, whether personal or professional. Are they supportive, balanced, and aligned with your values? Let 29 inspire you to strengthen bonds that contribute to mutual growth. Foster collaboration, seek opportunities to work with others. Recognizing the power of collective effort. Collaboration might mean teaming up on a project, mentoring, or being open to new ideas that expand your perspective and enrich the outcome. Practice empathy. Use the nurturing energy of 2 to listen and understand the needs of those around you. Paired with 9's humanitarian essence, empathy becomes a tool for building trust, respect, and meaningful partnerships. Harmonize your spaces. Apply feng shui principles to create environments that encourage connection and balance. Simple changes, such as decluttering communal areas or adding symbols of unity, can promote a sense of togetherness and shared purpose. Balance action with reflection. For Pisces, the number 29 serves as a gentle reminder to ground their emotional energy in practical steps. This might involve setting boundaries, defining shared goals, or celebrating achievements with others to create lasting harmony. For Pisces, the number 29 acts as a guiding force, helping them deepen their relationships while maintaining a strong sense of self. It encourages them to channel their empathy into meaningful actions that result in productive and fulfilling connections. When the number 29 appears, take it as an invitation to focus on harmony within your relationships. It's a call to embrace collaboration, nurture shared goals, and recognize the strength that comes from unity. To align with the energy of 29, reflect on this affirmation. I nurture balance and harmony in my connections, creating growth and fulfillment for myself and others. The number 29 reminds us that our greatest achievements are born from the strength of our collective bonds. By fostering meaningful relationships, aligning with shared aspirations, and approaching others with empathy and respect, we unlock the transformative power of collaboration. Let the energy of 29 guide you to embrace unity, knowing that every connection has the potential to create harmony, fulfillment, and success. Number 8, infinite potential and abundance. The number 8 carries an energy that is both profound and dynamic, symbolizing balance, success, and infinite potential. Its continuous loop reflects the unending cycles of life, energy, and flow, reminding us that every action creates ripples, more than its material associations. 8 represents resilience, strength, and the wisdom to create a legacy rooted in purpose. It serves as a guide to harmonize ambition with deeper values, pointing the way to sustainable abundance. In numerology, the number 8 is often associated with themes of power, prosperity, and integrity. Yet, its idea of wealth goes beyond money. It encompasses the richness of experience, relationships, and inner growth. It invites us to reflect on the balance between giving and receiving, emphasizing that abundance thrives when shared, not hoarded. In feng shui, 8 is revered as a symbol of good fortune and prosperity. When incorporated thoughtfully into your environment, it can amplify opportunities for success, fostering stability and growth. Similarly, Buddhist philosophy resonates with the number 8 through the Eightfold Path, a framework that emphasizes mindfulness, purpose, and balance. These teachings underline the number's lesson: true achievement is aligning external success with inner harmony. Astrologically, The energy of 8 complements Pisces, a zodiac sign known for its creativity, empathy, and vision. Pisces often dreams of a better world, and the strength of 8 offers the structure needed to transform those dreams into reality. Together, they form a partnership that empowers manifestation while preserving spiritual depth. The energy of 8 isn't abstract, it can be a tangible force in daily life when approached with intention. Begin by revisiting your goals. Are your ambitions aligned with your values? Let the number 8 ground your aspirations, ensuring they are not only achievable but also meaningful. Embrace balance in all areas of life, recognizing that giving and receiving are 2 sides of the same coin. This could mean sharing your expertise, lending a helping hand, or accepting support when you need it. Think beyond the immediate and consider what legacy you want to create. Whether it's a career milestone, a creative project, or nurturing lasting relationships, 8 encourages you to invest in efforts that stand the test of time. Small, intentional actions each day can build a foundation for enduring impact. Finally, enhance your surroundings to invite the energy of 8. Arrange your space to promote flow and productivity. Incorporate elements that reflect balance, such as symmetrical decor or reminders of infinite potential, to inspire both focus and abundance. For Pisces, the number 8 offers a beacon of guidance. It urges you to trust your intuition while staying grounded, blending your ability to dream with the practicality needed to bring those dreams to life. When you encounter the number 8, see it as a sign of encouragement, a reminder to stay focused on your long-term vision and to believe in your capacity to achieve it. To fully embrace this energy, reflect on this affirmation. I align my ambition with wisdom, creating a life of balance, abundance, and purpose. The wisdom of 8 reminds us that success isn't just about achieving goals, it's about evolving into the best version of ourselves. By channeling this energy, you can craft a life that is not only abundant but deeply fulfilling, a legacy that reflects your values and aspirations. The potential is infinite, but it begins with the choice to align with the transformative power of 8. Let this number be your guide, reminding you that the path to success is one of balance, resilience, and purpose. Number 41, building solid foundations. The number 41 embodies a unique synergy of stability and individuality. It merges the grounded energy of 4, symbolizing structure, reliability, and discipline, with the pioneering essence of 1, which represents leadership, vision, and boldness. Together, they create a dynamic force that emphasizes the importance of building strong foundations while staying true to your personal aspirations. This number invites deliberate, thoughtful action. It reminds us that meaningful growth is not achieved through haste, but through carefully laying the groundwork that supports long-term success. With 41 as a guide, every step becomes intentional, and every effort contributes to a larger purpose. In numerology, 41 represents the perfect balance between disciplined effort and innovative thinking. The number 4 grounds us in practicality, encouraging hard work, order, and dependability, while the number 1 inspires creativity, leadership, and the courage to take bold steps forward. Combined, 41 harmonizes these energies, urging you to act with clarity and focus while keeping your vision alive. From a feng shui perspective, 41 resonates with the idea of cultivating spaces that support growth and stability. This might involve arranging your living or working environment in ways that foster focus, productivity, and alignment with your goals. In Buddhist teachings, 41 aligns with the principle of right effort, one of the steps on the Eightfold Path. This principle emphasizes directing energy toward meaningful pursuits, reminding us that true progress comes from mindful, purposeful actions. It's not just about moving forward, it's about moving in the right direction, with intention and awareness. For Pisces, the number 41 serves as a grounding force. Known for their boundless creativity and intuition, Pisces can sometimes get lost in dreams or abstract ideas. The energy of 41 anchors their vision, encouraging them to take practical steps to turn possibilities into tangible results. It shows them that even the most ambitious dreams can become reality with structure and discipline. The energy of 41 can be harnessed in daily life through intentional actions that blend discipline with individuality. Plan with purpose, reflect on your long-term aspirations, and craft a roadmap to achieve them. Break big dreams into manageable steps, ensuring consistent progress while staying connected to your overarching vision. Build reliable systems, create structures in your life that support your goals. Whether it's setting routines, organizing your time, or investing in tools to enhance productivity, these systems provide the stability needed for success. Stay true to your vision while discipline is crucial. It's equally important to honor your creativity and individuality. Let your unique perspective and personal values shape your journey, ensuring your actions remain authentic. Create a balanced environment, apply feng shui principles to align your space with your intentions. A clean, organized workspace, for instance, can foster focus and motivation, creating an environment conducive to growth. Celebrate incremental progress. Growth doesn't happen overnight. Acknowledge and celebrate small victories along the way, understanding that each step builds the foundation for something greater. For Pisces, the number 41 is a powerful reminder to balance their imaginative energy with practical action. While dreaming big comes naturally, 41 encourages Pisces to channel those dreams into consistent, grounded efforts. It helps them see that the journey towards success is as much about planning and persistence as it is about vision. When you encounter the number 41, take it as an invitation to pause and reflect. Are you building a solid foundation for your goals? Are your actions aligned with your deeper purpose? This number reminds you that intentional progress, no matter how small, is the key to lasting success. To fully embrace the energy of 41, hold this affirmation close. I build my dreams on a foundation of purpose and stability, creating a life of balance and fulfillment. The number 41 teaches that every great achievement begins with a strong foundation. By combining disciplined effort with bold creativity, you can create a life that is both stable and inspiring. Let the energy of 41 guide you, showing that with intention and persistence, your vision is always within reach. Number 56, Balance and Transformation. The number 56 symbolizes the delicate dance between change and stability. It combines the adventurous, dynamic energy of 5 with the nurturing, harmonious essence of 6. Together, these energies form a powerful vibration that encourages adaptability and resilience while maintaining balance. This number serves as a reminder that life's transitions, though often challenging, are essential gateways to growth and new opportunities. Rather than seeing change as a disruption, 56 invites us to view it as a natural part of the journey toward alignment and fulfillment. It reassures us that within every shift lies the potential for transformation and harmony. In numerology, the number 5 represents freedom, exploration, and adaptability, urging us to embrace the unknown and seek opportunity in every twist and turn. Paired with the stabilizing energy of 6, symbolizing love, responsibility, and harmony, the number 56 calls us to balance these forces. It encourages evolving while remaining rooted in our values, creating a foundation that supports both growth and peace. In feng shui, the energy of 56 emphasizes creating environments that reflect balance amid change. For instance, incorporating elements like flowing water to symbolize adaptability alongside grounding features like stable furniture or earth tones can visually and energetically represent this harmony in your surroundings. Buddhist teachings resonate deeply with 56 through the principle of anicca, the concept of impermanence. This philosophy teaches that change is an inevitable and natural part of life. The energy of 56 aligns with this wisdom, encouraging us to navigate transitions with grace, trust, and acceptance of life's ever-evolving nature. Astrologically, Pisces shares a deep connection with the energy of 56. As a sign defined by intuition, empathy, and emotional depth, Pisces often feels attuned to life's rhythms. The number 56 provides guidance, helping Pisces navigate transitions with self-compassion and trust in their ability to find harmony. Even amid uncertainty, the energy of 56 can be harnessed in your everyday life through intentional practices. Embrace flexibility, approach new experiences with curiosity and openness. Whether exploring a new career, learning a skill, or adapting to unexpected changes, cultivate a mindset that sees opportunity in transformation. Prioritize balance even as you adapt to change. Create stability in the areas that matter most: relationships, health, and personal values. Use routines or grounding practices to maintain a sense of security during transitions. Foster resilience, reflect on challenges you've faced in the past and the lessons they've taught you. Let those experiences remind you of your strength and ability to navigate future changes with confidence. Harmonize your space, apply feng shui principles to design an environment that supports growth and stability. For example, add elements like plants to symbolize growth alongside grounding materials like wood or stone to foster harmony and balance. Trust the process. Change can feel overwhelming, but the energy of 56 encourages faith in life's unfolding. Every shift, no matter how small, is a step toward alignment and greater fulfillment. For Pisces, the number 56 serves as a source of encouragement and guidance. As a deeply intuitive and empathetic sign, Pisces may feel the emotional weight of change more acutely. However, 56 reminds Pisces that their adaptability and compassion are powerful strengths, enabling them to turn transitions into opportunities for connection and growth. When the number 56 appears, take it as a moment to pause and reflect. Are you resisting change out of fear? Or are you embracing it as a path to something better? This number encourages you to welcome life's shifts with an open mind and a trusting heart, knowing that transformation leads to growth and harmony. To embody the energy of 56, affirm this thought: I embrace transformation with balance and grace, trusting that every change leads to growth and harmony. The number 56 teaches us that life's transitions are not obstacles but opportunities. By balancing resilience with flexibility and staying grounded in our values, we can navigate change with confidence and grace. Let the energy of 56 inspire you to embrace the transformative power of life's journey, knowing that every step leads to greater alignment and fulfillment. Number 17, Vision and Purpose. The number 17 represents the perfect harmony between ambition and wisdom, blending the drive to achieve with the insight to pursue a life rooted in authenticity and purpose. It serves as a guiding light, encouraging us to dream boldly while remaining grounded in our most meaningful values. Resilience is at its core, reminding us that true success lies not just in reaching goals, but in doing so with integrity and intention. In numerology, the energy of 17 arises from the union of 1 and 7. The number 1 symbolizes leadership, individuality, and the courage to forge new paths. In contrast, 7 resonates with spiritual awareness, inner wisdom, and a connection to universal truths. Together, these numbers create a synergy that balances material ambition with deeper spiritual purpose, forming a powerful reminder to lead with intention while staying aligned with higher truths. In feng shui, the number 17 embodies alignment and thoughtful intention. It highlights the importance of creating harmony between physical spaces and mental clarity to foster opportunities for success. This number reminds us that by organizing our surroundings, we can amplify the flow of energy to achieve our aspirations. Buddhist teachings reflect the essence of 17 through the principle of right intention. This idea emphasizes that mindful and authentic actions lead to a life of balance and fulfillment. Similarly, 17 calls us to pursue our ambitions with clarity and purpose, ensuring that our goals align with our inner values. Astrologically, Pisces finds particular resonance with the energy of 17. Known for its visionary nature and deep empathy, Pisces often dreams of lofty ideals yet struggles to ground them in reality. The number 17 acts as an anchor, encouraging Pisces to translate their aspirations into actionable steps while maintaining spiritual and emotional balance. To channel the transformative energy of 17, incorporate these practices into your life. Begin with purposeful goals. Reflect deeply on your dreams and aspirations, ensuring they align with your core values and resonate with your authentic self. The energy of 17 invites you to pursue goals that hold true meaning for you. Plan with intention. Break your ambitions into manageable steps. Whether you're striving for a career milestone, developing a creative project, or building stronger relationships, thoughtful planning ensures steady, sustainable progress. Embrace resilience in the face of challenges. Obstacles are inevitable, but 17 reminds you to persevere. Each setback offers lessons that contribute to your growth, preparing you for greater success ahead. Stay spiritually connected through practices like meditation, journaling, or mindful breathing. These habits ground you in your purpose and ensure your actions remain intentional and fulfilling. Transform your space into a supportive environment. Apply feng shui principles by decluttering your surroundings and adding symbols of inspiration and success. A clear, harmonious space enhances focus and motivation, aligning your environment with your aspirations. For Pisces, the number 17 serves as both a compass and a source of encouragement. It anchors their imaginative energy, helping them take deliberate steps toward transforming dreams into reality. When you encounter the number 17, see it as a moment to pause and reflect. Are your actions aligned with your higher purpose? Are your goals a true reflection of your soul's desires? This number gently reminds you that balance between ambition and authenticity is the key to a life of lasting fulfillment. To embrace the wisdom of 17, hold this affirmation close. I align my actions with my higher purpose, creating a life of resilience, integrity, and fulfillment. The number 17 teaches that every dream can become a reality when paired with clarity, intention, and persistent effort. By balancing bold ambition with mindful planning, you can build a life that is not only successful but profoundly meaningful. Let the energy of 17 inspire you to pursue your vision with courage and authenticity, knowing that the universe supports you at every step of your journey. As we've journeyed through the energies of numbers, it's clear that these numbers are more than symbols. They are universal guides inviting you to grow, reflect, and embrace the infinite possibilities within. Each number carries a distinct vibration, yet they all converge on one truth: transformation begins with awareness and intention. These numbers illuminate life's journey, urging you to balance ambition with purpose, find harmony in relationships, and embrace the courage needed for meaningful change. They remind us that within every challenge lies an opportunity for growth and resilience, a chance to realign with our deepest values. Take a moment to reflect on what these numbers mean to you. Have you noticed their presence in your life? How might they guide you toward balance, abundance, and fulfillment? Share your story in the comments and inspire others to uncover their own connections to the universe's wisdom. Let this affirmation anchor your journey. I trust in the guidance of the universe, aligning my actions with the energy of balance and fulfillment. By embracing these words, you align with the vibrations these numbers hold. Together, we create a ripple effect of growth, inspiration, and harmony, connecting our shared journeys into one powerful, collective energy. As we close this exploration, let's honor the profound ways numbers shape our lives. They whisper wisdom, offering clarity, purpose, and the courage to embrace transformation. Through the energies of numbers, we've uncovered pathways to balance, harmony, and fulfillment, each step deepening our connection to the universal flow. This journey has been about more than understanding numbers. It has been about recognizing the power within you, the willingness to reflect, trust, and grow speaks to your readiness for a life of intention and abundance. Before we part, carry this wish with you. May clarity guide your steps, harmony infuse your decisions, and trust lead you toward the fulfillment you deserve. Transformation begins with a single choice: trust in yourself and the universe, knowing that you are always supported. This is just the beginning. Stay with us as we continue exploring the energies that shape our lives, uncovering new insights that lead us toward balance and peace. Until we meet again, remain open to the wisdom that surrounds you, and embrace your unique journey with trust and intention. The universe speaks to us in numbers. Listen, trust, and embrace the journey. If this message resonated with you, like, comment, and share your reflections. Your story could inspire someone else on their path of discovery. Until next time, may your journey be filled with light, balance, and infinite possibilities.